What is up, everyone? How's it going? We're into week 4 of my 2:45 marathon training plan leading into the Tokyo Marathon, which is approximately 13 weeks from now. And we've got some miles, some cool things to discuss, and some falter moments in the training block that are also worth it, just addressing, talking about. So if you kind of experience similar things in your training block or obstacles, maybe you'll address them in the comments below. If not, I'll tell you some cool things that I've kind of seen and just kind of overcome and whatnot. So yeah, we'll get into it, I guess, right off the rip. If you are following this training plan or you want to reference something in a 16-week training plan that might be useful for you, this is the training plan. I'm going to be updating it basically every week as I do these videos. And yeah, you can just kind of follow them as you will or however you want to do them. And I kind of just talk about each workout that I'm supposed to do during the weeks and just kind of get into that stuff. Cool? So here we go. Last week, I was supposed to run 9 miles, 6 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles, have a rest day, then run an 18-mile long run, and then have a 6-mile easy run. Okay? That was last week, not too long ago. And whatever was X'd out was the distance I did instead. And if there's any sort of additions or changes to the training block, it's just things that I'm going to kind of explain as we go along with them. So obviously, instead of running 9 miles on Monday, which was supposed to be a hill repeat session, I did end up doing a 2-a-day with a 5-mile in the morning and then a 2-mile in the evening kind of workout. So it ended up just being 7 miles. It wasn't my greatest day, just still kind of processing some of the stuff with my knee at this point, just making sure everything was in good shape. I did manage to do my Tuesday 6-mile run fairly well. Didn't go too fast. I think it overall had a good place on the block from what I see on Training Peaks. Looks like it was okay. Had some strength training as well, and worth noting that I was strength training basically every single day that week to, again, get the legs in a good spot, get the upper body and the back in a good position as well, and just constantly monitor and recover any sort of ankle or knee soreness on the body at this point in time, because I am starting to see some of these pain points kind of occurring and disappearing. So it's best to stay on top of them with as much strength training as possible, but not overdoing it where that takes up the majority of my time overrunning. You know what I mean? So we don't want to make muscular size gains as much as we want to just keep everything in check, keep everything looking strong, and then kind of stay lean and have a good looking physique. I mean, that is kind of, we can argue that it is a byproduct of good running form, good diet, and good strength training, that your body will look good per se. So that's just something to think about, of course. Then Wednesday, I was supposed to run an 8-mile just easy run session. And what happened there was I had some residual ankle soreness, and it did end up turning into a 2-a-day kind of style run where I ran 2 miles, had the soreness, kind of took a break, and then later on I came back and ran 1.1 miles in a different pair of shoes, and it felt better, just not as good. So it ended up just being a 5K instead of 8 miles, so I kind of fell behind on distance a little bit more at that point. The same happened on Thursday. I was just kind of bouncing back from the ankle soreness, and instead of running 10 miles, I ran 4, and then I cross-trained with a bike session that was about an hour long. So just anything to keep the cardiovascular growth as a thing. That was pretty much the plan. So more cross-training, as I'll discuss in a minute here as well. So Friday was my rest day, so I decided to try to overcompensate and try to get some miles back as a result. And I ran about 5.4 miles that day, which was not bad. I think I dedicated to a 45-minute easy run. And it was an easy run. So that must have been, 5.4 miles in 45 minutes. Maybe 8:30, 8:45 pace. I could be totally wrong about that. But it wasn't fast by any means, but it was comfortable, and it was just fun kind of just being in the flow of running slow and not being stressed in any sort of way, and just kind of having headphones and just enjoying your time on the treadmill. That's kind of what more or less happened that day. Saturday, it was kind of a busy day. I know for a fact that with these long runs, they're prepped in this training plan as if you're already a seasoned marathon runner and you do long distance runs every day of the week. Hence why at this point in time with the injury I have, or the post-injury I guess I'm going through, running 18 miles as a long run is quite not feasible at this time, if that makes sense. I need more growth in the long runs per week as I do in this training plan. So I guess the best way to put it is like, if this is the long runs per week in our training plan, right? So that's our like XY axis. The long runs are going to get a little bit longer, shorter, longer, shorter, longer, right? So this could be like 16, this could be like 15, this could be like 18, this will be like 16 again, and then we have like a 20-mile long run, right? What's going to happen for a long time in the mileage of the long run per week is that it's going to be below for like quite some time, and then eventually we might get to catching up at that point. We just don't know how long it's going to be, or how long I'm going to stay below this threshold to run like maybe like 8 miles, 10 miles, 13, something like that, to eventually catch up into the training block maybe like 2 or 3 weeks from now, where I can run like 18, 20 miles a week, kind of a deal. And the same will go for the mileage, actually, if we talk about it that way. So our mileage per week, it's assumed we're just growing steadily. There's going to be a peak, and then there's going to be that marathon like taper off. That's a really bad taper, if anything. I think this taper should be far quicker, but I digress. Let's say it's 80 miles at its peak, just per se, right? This is going to be like 60, 50, I don't know. Just make up the numbers. It's just all kind of a reference point, more or less. My mileage is going to be down here for like a little while. We're going to be well below here, and eventually it's going to be able to catch up and get to the 80-mile point, and maybe I may even go a little bit over during the taper and then just really kind of drop off at some point. And that was a good sneeze, but if you can kind of see that, the plan eventually will be to get back into the mileage that's recommended at this time for the training plan. Because as you can see, the week that my knee was starting to get better and I had like the turkey trot week, I ran 32 out of the 53 miles I was looking for, right? This week, my growth was to 40 miles from 32, whereas from 53 to 57, that percent growth between these 2 miles is not nearly as high as going from 32 to 40. This would be at least a 25 to 30% boost in mileage per week, which is more than this, which is about 8 to 10 miles. So if this growth is consistent and the pain isn't really in a bad spot in the ankle or the knee, then this growth is, I'm going to allow it only based on how many marathons and how long I've been training running for my growth to be able to, I guess, accelerate that quickly. Because again, we're at a 40-mile week. If I somehow end up running 50 miles this week of the 58, that's going to be about, again, like a 25, that's going to be a 25% growth, which is going to be less than this growth here. But if I can sustain a 25% growth going into this week, then I have confidence in my body that we're finding the old ground that I used to be able to train at and get quickly back into fitness with. And if I can run that 50 miles this week, or like 50 plus if we're lucky and bold and whatnot, I'm going to feel a lot better about the Tokyo Marathon as a whole in terms of like finishing the marathon in good position, because pace is a whole different discussion in this kind of training block at this time. So as I mentioned, there was a lot of easy work last week, and it's safe to say that, yeah, despite this being a 2-hour, 45-minute Tokyo training block regiment, the speed workouts that I need for this particular marathon aren't quite there, and it's due to, again, a couple of things, right? One, I still have a little bit of weight that I need to burn off to my like marathon acceptable weight. So right now I think I'm still sitting at about 149 to 150 pounds, which I've been at that weight before earlier on in my marathons. But my best weight for marathon running, which I had my PR in, also was about 138 pounds. So I need to lose about 12 pounds of a combination of visceral fat, potentially some other waist fat, maybe some like leg fat that might be existent in this area, lean down some of the muscle that I have, lose some unnecessary muscle, whether it's like in the pecs, maybe in like the biceps potentially. It's not like we're gonna like burn them off by just not doing or doing something drastic. It's just we're gonna reduce the use of those muscles so the body understands like, okay, let's put more of our effort into legs, hips, core, rather than making the upper body look much more full, I guess you can say. And because I'm not doing triathlon, I'm not swimming, and therefore the upper body muscular structure doesn't require nearly as much, I guess, juice, you can say. Juice, I don't even want to say juice. That sounds like steroids. We're taking juice for this training plan, guys. No, that's not what's happening. It's the body is just not going to put as much muscular growth effort, I think, in the upper body than as it will the lower body. So if I'm biking and I'm running and we're strength training the core, legs, and just keeping the upper body in check with like spines, well, not spine, but like upper back, lower back, anything that does kind of with the spine muscle setup, I think it'll be in a good spot because we don't need to add like extra shoulder bulk, extra arm bulk, or anything like that. It's not a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. We need to be a Prius. We don't need to be a Mustang, is pretty much the adage I've heard from Sage Canaday when he talked about this kind of thing. And some of that advice I know kind of came from him as well, of like, do you really need large chest pecs? Do you need to train chest day for running? Like, it depends, but like you don't need that extra weight and that extra muscle for this kind of thing. So that's just something to think about, of course. So that's in this tangent, what I'm trying to get to is by reducing weight a little bit, I should be able to start experiencing an easier opportunity to start building speed. And also what's going to be needed for that is the speed workouts every single week, whether it's going to be one of them or just two of them, and then like your long run. I need to prioritize the recovery into those speed workouts every single day just so I can get back into running at least 6:50, if not 6:40 pace by Tokyo Marathon race day. Right now, I think I can comfortably sit at about 10K pace. I was sitting at about like 6:45, 6:50 during the turkey trots, but those are 10Ks, right? So if we translate that over, I might be running a marathon at like 7:45, 8 minute per mile pace when all is said and done, which I don't want to be running. I want to be faster than that. I know I'm faster than that. It's just a case of putting in that time into the speed workouts to be able to do that. So weight is going to be a thing to clean up a little bit, and as I start adding more mileage and my diet starts cleaning up, that's going to be something that happens. Of course, more speed work to rebuild the muscle strength and the speed in the legs is going to be also extremely important. And then, of course, just aerobic volume, just overall, just to make sure I can handle 58 to 60 miles a week and just not be like totally destroyed by the end of it, and make sure that there is a takeaway from there that will allow me to run a 20-mile week or a 20-mile run at least once every other week in this training block, which would be great if I can do that. So moving into this week, kind of a similar structure to the last week, as you've probably already been staring at for a little while on the screen. We do have a 9-mile run that I'm going to do at some point today. It is like 6 p.m. I'm going to try to get outside, get a headlamp on, attempt to run something of like 7 to 8 miles, and then just kind of have an easy one on the treadmill later on that evening. Just keep the principle of 2 runs per day, just to know that if I'm going to be running twice daily, just to get that recovery window kind of really spun up. Then tomorrow we have a 6-mile easy run. We have another 8-mile that might be some kind of tempo session. I don't know the exact logistics of it as of right now. It looks like we're going to be doing some 6 by 15 second strides in there with an easy run. Aha, I see. The 9-mile run is going to be my speed workout. So it's going to be Tempo Thursday from the looks of it, by 3 by 10 minute tempo intervals. That's going to be neat. So that's going to be the workout to watch out for, is Thursday. And then Friday, we have an easy day. Saturday, it's not going to be a 20-mile run, but we'll try to get something of nice distance, maybe a half marathon. That'd be pretty nice. And then we have a 6-mile run easy day on Sunday. And on Sunday, I leave for Washington, D.C. for work training. So that's going to be fun. I have to keep the remaining training plan just kind of written out somewhere so I can basically take it with me when I'm running through D.C. during work training off hours, and just getting that done. So yeah, that's kind of what's expected this week. Again, slow mileage build into what we're going to expect next, but the Tokyo Marathon training plan is a little bit behind schedule as expected, but the plan to run sub 3 using a sub 245 plan may still be in the game plan here. It's just it's going to come down to, again, rest, recovery, consistency in training, and morale during the training blocks. So yeah, if you're training for Tokyo, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, if you like the training plan, if you like this style of like kind of breaking down what's going on, me giving you some mileages to work with from the training plan I'm working with, also let me know. And yeah, it's all here. It's all documented. You can just use it, this information as you will. But yeah, it's going to be great. So I will leave the video here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.